Educational psychology. The reason my jaw dropped is I know a long time ago psychology was about how people learn. I'm astounded. Then the next thing. Maslow's theory of human motivation is about how our need to please is more important than our need to communicate. And how does communication improve? That applies to teaching children communication skills. That can help all of you understand the reason for communication. Now set aside communication throughout your life in the universe. Next, we're going to discuss how human motivation, how that corresponds to deaf people. And I have a good example. Do you know I9HHC? Deaf and hard of hearing clients, humans. I was one of the leaders of that and made it successful. I heavily campaigned for that in South Illinois. I did a lot of work to try and get that, to have support with our laws and to make laws for that area and support for that bill. When the bill was proposed, guess who was against it? Who is against it? Who was opposed? VRS was opposed. Video Relay Services in Illinois opposed it. Why? Because they were afraid that they would lose control over the deaf people in that area if the bill passed. They wanted control. For example, at the deaf school, they use VRS. Z, they have the control. We were constantly being told, no, no, no for our way. Deaf and hard of hearing clients, we want to do it our way. Now, when this happened, they had a meeting, and the hearing testified and we're going to get to Maslow. The hearing testified that we want ourselves to be independent, not dependent on someone else. Also, the lawyers of VRS were against that. They forced us to be dependent, but we want our independence. VRS just wants us to depend on them, and they need to stop that. So they voted and the law passed. And the bill was brought to the government, where it was turned down. it was amended. We were against all changes. They needed to ratify it. We wanted to do it ourselves, and they didn't want that. So there was a lot of communication, a lot of correspondence. So remember, it was turned down and asked to be ratified. So when it was brought to vote again, there were 104 people in support and 0 were opposed. We were amazed. That vote was a slap in the government's face. The government was enraged from there on out. And they did not like me. I know it in my gut. But that's another story. It was passed, finally. Now, deaf people's lives have improved for the better. Now more doors have been opened. We have more access to services. VRS limited those services previously, but now we can pick any, and there's more benefits. Do you guys understand that? And we feel very proud that we can do it without anyone telling us what to do and other ways. It was very successful. So a lot of new services were made. And so we waited for the old government to leave and a new government to come in. Edgar picked me, and I was fine with that. Altogether, it was 5 years for everything to work out. Then was the chair. I was picked to be the chair. Now, deaf does not mean that I'm skilled at signing. I need to study deaf signs. Who forced me to study that? VID. When I first volunteered. They told me that I had to practice. I'm not deaf enough? That's shit. And I took it, and I am very glad that I took it. I learned so many things that I did not know before. What I really learned is about how much bullshit this is. Then years later, other people showed up and the same thing happened and they wrote a book about it. They grow in silence. That's what the book is called. They grow in silence. When the government hears, or have you heard about that book? Yeah, it's also a movie. And the best is from the same author.